taxpayer has been left with a £40 million bill after the government admitted there were mistakes in the way it ran the bidding for the West Coast Mainline franchise. The Virgin Group boss, Richard Branson, who lost the bid to FirstGroup, called it a fiasco. 3 civil servants have been suspended and the bidding will be restarted, as our transport correspondent Richard Westcott reports.
First, Virgin thought they'd lost it, and FirstGroup thought they were taking over. Now, the bid to run one of the country's busiest rail lines lies in chaos and confusion after the government got its sums wrong. The new Transport Secretary's only been in the job a few weeks, today forced into a humiliating apology.
What has happened is unacceptable, it's deeply regrettable, and of course I apologise. We have made a big mistake as far as the department is concerned, and the companies that have put bids in have done nothing wrong.
This is the competition to spend the next 13 years running trains from London to Birmingham, Manchester and Glasgow. 4 companies were in the running. Now they'll all have to decide whether to spend months and millions of pounds bidding again. So what went wrong? It seems incredible, but government experts made basic mistakes in their calculations. They forgot to include inflation and failed to count passenger numbers properly. Errors that will cost the taxpayer £40 million to put right. Mixed reactions from 2 of the bosses involved.
Well, we were gutted. Bitterly disappointed in the news because our team had worked so hard over so many months and put together a great bid.
Obviously, everybody at Virgin Trains are absolutely delighted. I think the passengers are delighted as well. We certainly didn't want to have to go to court.
So, who's to blame? The government's keen to point the finger at civil servants. 3 have been suspended, but questions will now be asked of the last Transport Secretary, Justine Greening, who spent weeks insisting all was well. Today, Labour went on the attack.
It's a huge shambles, pouring £40 million of public money down the drain, and until very recently, both old and new transport ministers were assuring the public and assuring us in Parliament that this was a robust and proper process.
The system for picking rail contracts is now in doubt. It could eventually affect dozens of deals worth billions to the government. There is absolutely no chance that this mess is going to be cleaned up by the time Virgin's contract runs out in December. So the big question for customers then, who is going to keep these trains running over the busy Christmas period and beyond until they sort this whole thing out? Ministers promise that services won't suffer, but they're now left with a hard choice. Take the line back into public hands or make the embarrassing phone call to Sir Richard Branson asking for help. Richard Westcott, BBC News.
And you can find more background information on the government's decision and what it means for upcoming rail franchises in a question and answer piece on the BBC News website. Just go to bbc.co.uk/news.